Liam, a full week without a game of training. That must be nice.
Yeah, extremely rare. We don't get this too often. So no, it's been extremely welcomed. I think in just being able to spread out the preparation for the game tomorrow, but just having time on the grass, time on the grass to work on certain bits, but also then just you can just work at a slightly different intensity rather than having to cram so many meetings in such a condensed period of time. You're able to spread them out a little bit more. You spend a little bit more time on the prep, etc. So yeah, no, it's been a good week.
Obviously, the players get an opportunity to perhaps learn a little bit more, but do you learn about your players a little bit more in those scenarios as well?
Yeah, you definitely do. I think it's a good opportunity because we joke about it, but the program is so intense. I think we spoke around it last week. We had 6 in 19, I think, weeks where we've actually had a training week. The rest is, you're looking at 12, 13 weeks of Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, which is relentless. So it's good to be able to obviously train and then see some of the behaviours in training. I think that's the biggest bit in terms of, the ability to transfer information from a meeting into games into training and see that transfer, that application is a real interesting one which you don't always get when it's such a high pressurized environment with 3 points on the line on a Saturday. Being able to challenge them with certain bits in training, you're able to see certain elements of progress. So yeah, it's definitely been good to see the lads training.
I know in general you will avoid expressions like must-win game, but even you must admit that Saturday's one of those, isn't it?
I think we joke about it. Every game at the minute we have to win because we need the points. Obviously, I understand. When you look at the league table where we're at, where Burton are at, etc. It looks like that. And of course, we know we need to win. But I think what we don't do is take our eye off the most important factors, which are the preparation and then the execution of what we need to do in order to get the win. So yeah, definitely we need to win. But I think more importantly is what we need to do to win.
Have you seen enough from your players that you've got this season to know that they're all capable of making it out of the predicament they're in at the moment?
Yeah, definitely. When I look at take Barnsley out. I look at the first half against Derby. I look at 70 minutes against Portsmouth last week away at their place. When you go back through other games, the challenge we've found is consistently delivering performances in all the phases of the game, which I thought for a large chunk of last week against Portsmouth it was as close to as what you'd want it to look like, albeit obviously giving a poor goal away at the start of the second half, scoring a very good goal, but then not taking some of the chances or some of the decisions, the penalty, etc. that we should get for me second half. I think that when you look at it, especially second half, it was close to what I want it to look like. And I said to the lads afterwards, I think if you consistently deliver that level of performance, not just controlling the ball, but rest defence in terms of suffocating the opposition and not allowing them out, not allowing them to progress up the pitch, creating, getting into the areas we got into and creating some of the chances we had. We have more than enough quality in the group to go and win games.
And I suppose what will winning at home would be a massive boost as well. Not just because it's been hard to come by this season, and not just because you need the points, but obviously you're playing in front of the home fans, getting a result, just settle everything down a little bit. It would just settle the nerves down a little bit. And of course, home victories have been hard to come by this season in the league.
Yeah, of course we want to make this a difficult place for teams to come. And the pitch, the size of the pitch and the quality of the surface. Andy and the ground staff do a great job. It really reinforces and helps the way we want to play. So I think that and then giving the fans something to get behind. I thought even though we lost at Portsmouth away last week, I thought the fans were terrific in appreciating and understanding the dominance that we had in the game, and that potentially we didn't get the result we deserved from the game. And I think that we need to put on a performance like that and make a couple of tweaks in terms of the quality. Definitely in attack, but also in terms of in our build-up, and give the fans something to get behind. And that will be the challenge tomorrow. We want to go and dominate the game. We want to be consistently performing to a high level in all the phases, and give the fans something to support, to cheer, and to get behind.
just away as also from Saturday. I'm just curious how you've been thinking about the January transfer window. Is the January transfer window already in your mind? Do you expect, I'm not saying what positions or who, obviously, but do you expect to do business in the January transfer window?
Yeah. Yeah, no, we do. It's one of those, I think, the second that, obviously Liam Sweeting in terms of him in the recruitment department are extremely proactive in the work they do. We spoke about this before where, you can't be reactive. You have to, as much as possible, try to be proactive with a lot of the work that you do. So, we'll obviously look, when we went through what we did in the summer with the change, etc., it's always going to be a case of having a couple of windows to refine and identify what you need and see what the squad looks like to get it to a place where we're able to compete and go and challenge again. And even the team we had last year, if you look at that team, it didn't just happen. People came in and at different stages, and it gets to a place where it's then ready to compete. And we're in the very early stages of building that team.
And just one more from me, because my battery's about to die. Just one more from me. Everyone's been watching the World. Well, a lot of people have been watching the World Cup and England's progress, as well as all the other games. How much of the World Cup have you been catching, and what do you think of England's chances, Liam?
Yeah, no, it's been quite challenging, I think, at times, just because of the kickoff times. It's been quite difficult, obviously, with being in here constantly as well. So I've tried to watch as much as I can and grab bits and pieces here and there. And look, in terms of England, obviously, Deck's someone that I know. Quite enjoyed his seeing his interview yesterday. In terms of there's so much hype and noise around it, and it's almost we build them up ready to knock them down. But I like Deck talking around that England should be feared. I think when you look at, especially when you look at the quality in them attacking positions and the depth they've got, some world class players throughout the side. So it's an exciting group, that's for sure, and let's hope they can continue.
I was listening to some pundits talking about Declan and saying that he got a lot more to come. There's a lot more to come from him.
Deck's great. What I love about him, you see the interviews, and that's Deck. It is him. He doesn't have a personality in front of the camera and then a different one behind the scenes. Deck's Deck, and he's so genuine with that. And look, he's going to have a really exciting career to follow. I think when you look at the level that he can achieve, and he's delivering that now on the international stage. So yeah, and thoroughly deserved as well for a terrific player, but also a terrific person.
Just do me a favour with you, Liam, when I'm talking to friends and family about the England-Senegal game, just tell me, some key moments in that game from a Senegalese perspective. So I actually, for once in my life, sound like I know what I'm talking about. How's it going to pan out, that game, England-Senegal?
I have to say, I'm not sure one bit, as all my energy's been in here, to be totally honest, Luke, so I'm going to cop out and I'll let Toby do all that for you. Use Toby's expertise.
Oh, thanks a lot. Cheers, then.
No problem.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust my judgment on that sort of thing, because I know full well that England are going to win 3-0, so easy going, I think. Burton, it sounds like, based on what Dino Marmari has said in his comments ahead of the game, that they're having a similar sort of time of it as you at the moment. Performances are beginning to come, but you need points on the board, and it feels like Burton are in a similar position to what you are. Yeah,
obviously a slow start, made the change, and to be fair to Dino, I think they've really picked up under him. If you look at the results, the performances, the organisation, it's a really difficult game. When you look at the threats they carry and the qualities they have in the side, we know it's going to be extremely difficult. So yes, it's two teams that have probably not haven't had the start to the season I'm sure everybody would have wanted, but we are where we are. We now have to step up to the challenge and see it as an opportunity to go and change that momentum of where we're at. So yeah, it's a tough game.
And speaking of season opportunities, it certainly feels like Dara Burns has done that in the last couple of weeks with a couple of goals in the cup competitions. He's starting to give you a bit more of a headache, isn't he?
Yeah, he's done well though. He's progressed. I think that when you look at the lads that we've brought in, we know they're going to be good players. If they work as hard as they can every day and they're really open to learning, progressing and developing, we know they're going to be good players. The challenge is to consistently deliver now, and that's what I think you've seen up to now, is that individuals and the team have shown really high level moments. It's the challenge for all of us, players and staff, is to get out consistently for 95-minute periods of games, but also week to week. And to be fair to Dara, what he's done is really opened up to the feedback, and we've been tough on him at times in terms of some of the defensive positions he takes up and his recovery runs out of possession. But he's a terrific character that's bought into that. And I think the goal's a great example last week of him getting into a good defensive position in which ultimately we do, so that he's a real threat on the counter attack, and he took his goal extremely well last week.
And mentioned there with Luke about how you sort of keep an eye on these lone players. What about guys like Dara and Dawson who have come over from Ireland and are living on their own for the first time and living away from home and sort of fending for themselves? Do you guys take sort of measures to make sure that they're living life well and looking after themselves outside of the footballing sort of sphere as well?
Yeah, no, it's twofold. Of course, we give them the appropriate care and support. Tom Bromley, to be fair, in the sports science department have organised cooking lessons for them at times. Having said that, whenever I speak to them, all they ever seem to eat is piri piri chicken and rice. But when you look at it, there's also an element where it's a timely process. That I remember going through something when I was 19. You have to move away and you grow up and you live it. It's not like you come in and all of a sudden it just clicks and you're able to fend for yourself. Things like that take time. And that's we're a little bit younger than what we were last year with some of the guys being 19. But I think what we've got is lads that have got some real good ability. That when you get everything right and you get everything settled and you get them progressively learning and understanding what's required to to perform and deliver in the team, then we'll definitely see the benefits.
And just finally, one of your other players, Matt Smith, obviously didn't get to kick a ball out in Qatar, but what a wonderful opportunity he's had.
Yeah, and one that there's not many people that can say they've gone and been in the squad for their country at a World Cup. So it's a really proud moment, I'm sure, for him and his family, and one that can never be taken away from him. I also think bigger picture, it'll be great learning from him. One that I hope and I'm sure when he comes back in next week that he can channel that that exposure to the level and to a taste of what it's like at the highest level, and hopefully channel that into really pushing to have high impact here when he comes back.